Hello, and welcome to today's Sketch It video with me, Helen. You may have noticed that my layout doesn't quite look like the sketch that I showed at the beginning of the video. I found the sketch online on Instagram, thought I've got 3 photos, it needs 3 photos, I'm going to do it. But this video is going to show how you can start with a sketch and end up in a different place. And that's kind of the good thing about sketches. They're starting points. They give you some inspiration to keep going. You see, I started following it. I started matting the photos and then putting card on to make banners, and I didn't like it. I don't know, I just felt it didn't really work with what the layout's about. The photos are of this fortified manor house in Kent in England, and I just felt the banners didn't really work. So this is where I started detouring. As you can see here, I'm working with a lot of old pages from Simple Stories. I say old, they're a couple of years old. I pulled them out because of the colours, because I felt that they suited the photos. There's not a lot of colour really in the photos. Green lawn, but the buildings, being that they're old stone buildings, it's those earthy colours that I wanted to go with. And I wanted to use that peachy coloured paper there with the gold foil dots, but you'll see, it doesn't make it. So after detouring from the sketch, I decided to have that piece of coloured paper to be behind the photos, but I wanted something a little bit more, so I decided to do some stenciling. As you saw, yes, I somehow broke my brush. I found it on the floor broken. I can still use it, so that's a good thing. But, I suppose in essence that design has a weak point with that handle, and I definitely found that weak point. Anyway, I did some stenciling with Tim Holt's brick stencil. And to tell you, trying to reline it up afterwards is a bit tricky, but I managed to do it. And after I'd done one colour, I was looking at the bricks in the photo, and there's, quite a few different colours in those photos. So the bricks, so I wanted to bring in a few different colours with my inks, just to mimic like the changing colour of the bricks in the building. And that's where, luckily, with the magic of editing, I could cut out how long this took for me to line up that stencil. But I got the desired effect that I wanted. However, I did have a line. I didn't place the stencil in the right spot. You can kind of see it there in that top part, the line of the ink, which I didn't like, but I do manage to fix it up. Here you can see I was trying to find a different colour to go behind those photos because I didn't like that gold dotted one. And I found this one that I'd ripped the chocolate brown off, I think, or from the other side. And I went, oh, that works. So I thought I'd just bring in a little bit more with the dotted as well. And then I went, yes, I like that. The 3 colours that I've used to map behind the photos. What I cut out here was, I realised that those ink pads or foam things, they only last so long. The one I picked out was a really old one. And after I'd inked all the edges, it had disintegrated all over my workspace. And my page. And my photos. But, oh well, just kept going. Tried to cover things up a little bit, but I don't know if you can see on the photo with a lot of the sky, there's a spot right in the middle. I can always go back and change the photo if it keeps annoying me. I got to this point and it was too brown. Funny when you only use browns, Helen. So I just wanted a little bit of another colour to brighten it up. And I found, as you saw, one of those cards from the cutout pages with that bit of orange. And I thought, yep, it mimics the roof. It works. And I thought, I really wish I had a bit more, because that touch of that orangey apricot, no, it's not apricot, orangey terracotta colour is an earthy colour and it works. And then I thought, oh, the sketch did have banners. What if I put banners in it anyway for a bit more of that orange? It's not quite the same, but I'm still going with that essence of the original sketch. So this little punch I have from Stampin' Up, I've had it for years, but I really like it. Just makes a nice little cute banner. So as you can see, I've punched that one out 5 times in actual fact. I find I like to have an odd number of things when I'm making an arrangement like that. Even doesn't work. So 5 it was, and I'm just placing them so that they're not all lined up and at the same length coming out from that dark brown ripped edge there. So after lining them all up, I stuck all that down, and after rearranging the photos a number of times, I decided on this arrangement, or this order I should say. I used some fun foam to add some dimension behind that center photo, so that, because that's the one that didn't have any of the orangey paper behind it as well, and it just changes the height of the photos and adds some interest. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, that's what I did anyway. And then I started working on a little bit for that bottom right hand corner. I made a longer banner, and I found this little bit of ripped leftovers on the side that I thought worked perfectly, and I wanted to add in a little bit of that orangey terracotta paper, and I didn't quite know how to start with. Well, I wanted a bit of that colour anyway. I will punch another banner and thought maybe that would work, but that was too small and it just didn't suit it, and I thought something will come along to work that out. It's funny how when you look again through your stash of papers, you can find a full sheet of that same orange colour that you wanted in the first place. So helped me get rid of that line in the inking that I didn't like earlier. I matted it on that piece of orange, and I was going through the other pieces that I'd pulled earlier, and I found this sticker sheet, and lo and behold, it had some of that same orange items on there. So I actually managed to come up with an orange piece like I wanted. I pulled out some thickers, as you can see, and I've just put in the title of this house, and I'm inking the bottom half of them just to change the colour because the white is too stark. And then I decided, as you can see here, just when I'm placing the white stickers down, the difference by adding that bit of brown ink changes the whole tone of it. So there's the title in that same position from the original sketch, and then I wanted to do some journaling. I wanted to write a little bit of about the house, so I did a bit of Googling, found the website, got some more information about Penshurst Place, and incorporated some journaling. And then I've been reorganising my stash, looking through lots of things, and I found all these old brads that I haven't used for a long time. And I thought, brown, why not? Let's work with those. Let's change it up a little bit. And so I'm scattering a few of them on that diagonal from the top left down to the bottom right. Help to draw your eye through page. Also, when I was going through my stash, I found a little bag full of tiny wood veneers, and so I'm adding a few different shapes in as well. And I thought, okay, just finish off with some enamel dots, but finding an orange that worked wasn't easy. Found these stars, and I thought, well, I'll try inking them. Because they are that puffy, it didn't hold the ink perfectly, but it did have enough to tone down the stark whiteness of those stars. And I also found some just tiny little enamel dots that were in a peachy kind of colour that went as well. And basically, that's it. Oh no, I tell a lie. I got out some Goldie Shine and shook that up and sprinkled it around, and that was it. So thank you for watching and listening to this voiceover. Perhaps not quite where you thought the layout would end looking at that sketch, but sketches are just a starting point. Well, until next time, happy crafting, and thank you. Bye for now.